Bro.
Yep.
Robbie Radke.
That's
Joker.
me, kinda.
Joker.
Yeah.
I've been thinking about you like crazy lately, and it's just funny because I don't remember us talking about doing this.
Mm-hmm.
I was in my head. I'm like, it must have been like when we actually had a conversation on the phone, and I
Right.
just don't really remember. But I for sure am cool with it. I was like, oh, this guy that I really like really wants to hang out and talk to me. Cool. I'm doing it. I'm gonna make sure we schedule this because, dude, I really value you. I really value you and our friendship. So thank you for reaching out to me and having us do this.
Absolutely. I value you and your friendship as well. Yeah, it's good to talk to you. I know we had that phone conversation kind of out of the blue like a month ago, but it was like, man, that was really nice to talk to Corey, even though the circumstances were like weird and
Very
like
weird.
gross.
Yeah.
But like, it was like, I mean, at the end of the day, it was nice to talk to Corey and, haven't talked to you in a while.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, it was like as weird as I was feeling that day, and I want to be as vague as possible because I really don't give a shit enough to like say what it is.
Right.
Maybe I'll be vague in it and saying one of the people who was working for one of the wrestling promotions that we were working for, who was like one of the money guys, just got caught up. He just got brought up on all these like child porn trafficking shit.
Yeah.
Like, solicitation.
Right.
And I was feeling really weird, and I knew that you'd be somebody that we could like kind of bounce the weirdness off of each other.
Yes. Yeah.
And that was what we did that day.
Yeah, and it's as gross as like the scenario was that had us talking to each other. It's good to have like someone to like get these like weird feelings out that you like can relate to and has similar experience and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, mix that with like my just like curiosity with what's going on in your life. Like honestly, like the last time we had like a real catch up, I don't really know like where you were like living, and I don't even know like was there at one point like a shed situation?
Yeah.
I dude, I was concerned for my friend, you know. I wanted to know what was going on with you. Everything is different now?
Yes, very different. So at the time, that was years ago. My fiance now, my girlfriend at the time, Danielle, was moving from Maryland to here in Delaware. It was like she was moving 2 hours away, and it was my mom's idea to like get this shed. And the way she pitched it to me was like, this is really nice, like livable shed that you guys can live in, so you guys will have your own space. And it turned out to be like kind of a disaster for a lot of reasons. And then so we ended up moving out not long after Danielle got here and found like a weird efficiency apartment that was in this lady's backyard that was like the second floor over like a dog kennel. So it was another weird backyard living situation because like finding a place to live, regardless of like your financial situation, unless you're like really well off, it's like a difficult thing to do.
Yeah. You're going to wind up compromising one thing or the other.
Right.
And that I'm seeing that often with people, especially during this stuff. But I mean, was pre-COVID, pre-lockdown, pre-pandemic. But anyway, sorry, go ahead. I just
you're good. We spent like a year there, and that was weird because like dogs would be barking frantically at like 3 a.m. and waking us up and stuff. So eventually we had to get out of there. So I mean, now we're doing pretty well. We have a nice 2-bedroom apartment, and we're looking to upgrade again. Right now we're trying to get our stuff together so we can buy a house. And crazy how things turn out from living in a shed when I say it out loud like that.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't want to like, I for sure like kind of peripherally heard it and didn't want to like spend too much. Like, oh, so you're living in a shed where lawnmowers go, huh? Like,
Right. Yeah.
I it just didn't feel like it made enough sense, but I didn't feel like you and I were like in a position where I could be like, are you doing that? Like, I thought it was like, I thought it was weird. I thought it was very weird. And
it was for sure weird, but it's not like as bad as it sounded, I guess.
Right.
Just
okay.
Like, wow, Rob's living in a shed. Like, yeah.
Well, because I had done, I was at your friend's apartment doing your podcast.
Yes.
In that place. And I was like, whoa, do you live here? This is a nice place. And you're like, no.
But now we live in that apartment complex.
Okay.
So,
yeah. Okay. Then, well, it all comes back around full circle.
Yeah.
So you're done. Are you done wrestling like for good, Ski?
I'm not sure. So what happened was I quote unquote retired in December. Mm-hmm. And of course, when you're a wrestler, retire always has quotes around it. But at the time I was like, yeah, I think I'm done. And I was never like, I'm never coming back. I was just like, I'm done right now. Like there's nothing that's like, it's not fulfilling me right now in any way, shape or form.
Mm-hmm.
So I need to be done. And then I think when COVID hit and quarantine was happening and then no one was able to wrestle, I don't know if like maybe that's what made me like get itchy. There's just like the idea that I don't even have the option. Where I was like, maybe I could, maybe I'll start wrestling again.
Okay.
And yeah, so I've recently done some like open rings and just to kind of get the feel for it, because it's really weird because I haven't not done it for that long. It's been less than a year, but my mental state was like so far away from wrestling headspace that it still felt like brand new.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It felt like I haven't done it in like a decade.
Yeah.
So I was just like, I just want to see where I'm at, take a few bumps, stuff like that. And then I did a taping for a promotion recently where I did some managing. Let's see what right now I'm just like, I guess dipping my toes back in the water.
That can get you into the mind space of like being a persona, being personality. Like,
right.
And that's something that you just have that. You very much have the personality part of wrestling. It's just you have to like, it's somehow that like you have to sort of stir it into the right stew, kind of thing.
Right.
And you know that's not going to be overnight. You know what I mean? There's not going to be like just a switch flips and you figure it out, because figuring it out is part of what makes it good. Because
absolutely.
You know, once we think we've got it all figured out, we start to suck.
Yeah, that's probably where I was at when I was like retiring or whatever. Right. Just like I don't. It's not that I don't have anything left to learn. I'm just not interested in learning anymore. Well, so I'm just gonna leave.
The same thing for me, Rob. Like what when I was doing the whole like I like finished out my bookings. Like I was like, all right, I didn't say that I was retiring. I just was like, yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna maybe take a break or something. Maybe I'm gonna get out on my own account, you know, instead of like being forced out, I'll just get out. And I a lot of it was just like, what's the risk of every match versus the reward of every match, and then mix the risk reward with the fact that it's pay to play every time I do it.
Yeah.
And I'm not financially able to justify this, and I hate, it's my passion, it's my love, it's what I've done, it's what I've wanted with my entire life, but it's a hobby.
Right.
And I was like, I can't really financially justify this hobby.
Yeah.
And it sucks because of course it's like what I've identified as. It's been my identity, and I've having that part of my identity ripped away from me. And now it's like, oh, I guess I have a little more control over that. But at the same time, like in the creative level, I can still act and I can still do podcasts and I can still do comedy. So I'm fulfilled creatively.
Mm-hmm.
And as pandemic started and people who've been listening to the podcast episodes that I've been doing, and this one's not gonna. It's not, the audio of it isn't gonna drop until like December or something.
Right.
And currently it's October, but I've been saying for a while. I've said either I'm hanging up my boots or I'm buying new boots. I bought new boots. I've had 3 matches back. I go to training like every Friday. Like I'm back. Like there's no like I'm got the itch. Oh, no, I'm back.
Right.
That's just what it is.
Yeah.
It's just not as many places are open,
Right.
But I'm getting out there,
That's good. I mean, yeah, as long as so my thing is when I do come back, if I do come back, I want to kind of lean more into, hey, this is a hobby as opposed to this is who I am as a person, because I spent so long being so invested in just like, I got to make it to that next level. And I want to do everything right. And I want to like, so consumed by stuff like that I just want to be like, I like wrestling, so I want to wrestle now, as opposed to I need to make more money. I need to do things. I just want to. I love the art of wrestling and the creativity of that, and that's what I want to do.
Can I ask you something?
Absolutely.
Are you willing to redefine what the next level is?
Yeah, I mean,
because if the next level means something different for you than it does for the people who watch you, or it means more to, if you celebrate it, you know what I mean? If you celebrate like, well, here's a goal and I've reached that goal. The goal is to, to make sure honestly, I've been talking about this kind of all week, just on in conversations I've been having with friends and family and stuff. Like, I've been doing this most of my life. And when I'm talking on other people's podcasts, I'm like, I've been doing this most of my life. And knock on wood, never had any major injuries, never hurt anybody. That's a success. If I redefine what the next level is that I've got staying power. And on top of that, I know for me, my next level is the fact that, like, you don't see other people out there doing what I'm doing.
Right.
You don't see other people out there that are not only as good of a wrestler as I am, but doing comedy and podcasts. Like, that's just like, I'm the only, that's the next level for me. For me, my next level is redefined by me. Or not redefined.
That makes
it's just
sense.
Defined in general.
Defined by you.
Defined by me. It's like when I was younger and I wanted to come up, I was like, oh, I'm going to go to whatever the next level indie is. I'm gonna go.
Right.
Like, I was like, oh well, I'll go work for Jersey All Pro, and then Jersey All Pro will get me booked on Ring of Honor, and then Ring of Honor will get me booked on, like, and it was always like, oh well, what's stopping me? What's stopping me? It's because I just kept complaining about what I didn't have and where I wasn't.
Right.
Instead of going like, they'd be stupid to miss out on me.
Right.
Like, and I had those thoughts, but it wasn't as sure-footed as, like, I know my value.
Right.
And I think that, and that it goes back to, you probably heard me say it a million times, why I hit this drum. It's consistency, man. It's just consistency. Yeah. So I'm redefining the next level in consistency.
Right. Yeah, it makes sense. Because that's kind of that cookie cutter version of the next level is where I was at in my head. It's just like, why am I not working for this promotion? And then, you know, sometimes I've like gotten a taste of like, hey, I'll do a show for this promotion. And then I get in there and I'm just like, I don't like these people. I don't like this environment. This sucks. Like I got a taste of it and I hate it. So,
but even still, like when I would look at it like when I was working for like some let's say working for ECWA, but like being at ECWA and not being their top guy makes me look down on what ECWA was. I'm like,
right.
I'm like, or like Capital. It's like if I'm lost in the shuffle here, that's your problem.
Yeah.
And it like makes me disgusted with the whole process.
Right.
and
I mean, for me, it's also, I mean, it's all those things. And also, there's a lot you have to like tolerate to just kind of be in the wrestling business. Like people you don't like and people doing things that you're not like keen on and stuff like that. Like it's a very toxic environment. And to be in it and involved in it, you have to kind of look the other way on a lot of toxic stuff.
Can I just bring up to you some funny ass shit that I've been seeing? just in the last 2 days, I'm gonna bring up. I've seen like videos getting posted on. Videos being posted like on Instagram, and it's just tons of like wonky like interactions for like a pick. Like somebody went to pick somebody up for a tombstone, and they were like,
right,
like
they
couldn't grab them the right way, and I was like, who's teaching these people how to wrestle? What's going on? Yeah. And then like that being one video, and then the next thing being like, what? Leg kick, insecurity, leg kick, leg kick, and I was like, we don't need all that. Like, and I was like, I'm becoming the old man that yells at the clouds.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I'm definitely there too. There's just like even when I watch on TV, I don't just like this would have been great. Like less of this would have been great, and now there's too much of it. And
right, it's way too much. It's way too much. But anyway, we kind of got off topic there.
No, you're good. It's just like, so, you know, when I got out of it and in my head, I was completely out of it. I would like look back on some of the things that I've experienced or witnessed. And I'm just like, that is like, you don't really calculate it when you're in it and then you're out of it. And it's like, this is a terrible environment.
Well, you aren't stamping your bump card as much anymore.
Oh, that's true.
That's a really good thing. You're working on your body now.
Yeah.
Like, so your next level outside of the ring will affect your next level inside of the ring if there is one.
Right. Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah. So like you're in a better place. You said you're living in that apartment complex where you're recording. The place is nice. You're looking to get to the next spot.
Right.
Like that's going to influence you when it comes to feeling better about you. Like I think like my comedy suffers from me having less self-worth. My wrestling suffers from me having less self-worth. So the more self-worth I have, the better I feel about what's going on in my life and things like that. It's going to affect my creative endeavors.
Yeah, that makes sense. So yeah, we'll see what happens. And I definitely don't. If I do wrestle again, I don't want to full-time wrestle again until there's actually wrestling to be had and not
like audiences.
Like I don't want to do it. I mean, I did one match that happened to be taped, and I wasn't really thrilled about it. But I was just like, all right, whatever. Just to get my head into like putting a match together and like that creative problem solving that I love so much.
You know what the other funny thing is that I meant to bring up to you, and me telling you about the funny shit I've been seeing the last couple of days was there was one of those like studio matches, right? So there's no audience, and it's just quiet. It's just quiet except for like the person doing commentary and the people in the ring. And the person on commentary, I'll talk to you about who it is off mic. But he was like, you could hear. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. Like you could just hear him breathing. I'm like, yeah, you didn't realize how much breathing was happening.
Right. Yeah.
You didn't. Is your smoke detector going off?
Oh no, it's a truck outside somewhere. Yeah.
Well, I didn't want your house to burn down.
Nope, no smoke to be had here.
So, what are the things that you're looking forward to the most these days? Like, what's the stuff that you're really psyched about?
So tough questions. It's hard because I never know what the other side of what's going on is. But yeah, trying to buy a house. I'm looking forward to that. I'm getting married whenever. All our marriage plans have been kind of put on hold for now too. But yeah, that's something I'm looking forward to. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the next time I can like hang out with my friends like in person.
Right. Just want to throw this out there. I got ordained. So I will
keep that in mind.
If you're looking for someone who might be an officiant, maybe a funny officiant,
I will keep that in mind.
Give old CK a call.
Not Louis though.
No, not the Louis CK. I mean, he's funny too. And maybe he's ordained. I don't know. I've never looked that deep into his Wikipedia. I just started a whole new rumor about Louis C.K. ordained minister.
Well, I mean,
that's funny weddings.
It's not the worst rumor he's had about him.
Nope. This is a little cleanup attempt. And don't think of that in a dirty way. Not a cleanup attempt.
Oh my goodness. I didn't. He said
clean up the reputation.
Reputation management for Louis C.K.
I thought of you yesterday, man. I watched new Jason Mantzoukas movie on Netflix. And
which one is that?
It's called Long Dumb Road.
Oh yeah. I've seen that one.
And I was like, I didn't. Every time I see that guy, I think of you. Or anytime I hear that, because you had the pin on your vest.
My entrance vest, yeah.
And I
love Jason Mantzoukas. He's one of my favorites for sure.
So, I went like when I was watching Big Mouth or anything, I was like, look, it's that guy. And it just makes me think of Rob. So
yeah,
when do you think? When do you think you're gonna get married and all that stuff?
I don't know. So we set a date at the very beginning of quarantine. We're like, this will definitely be a date that we can have by then, and who knows by now. It was like June or July of 2021.
It'll be totally gone by then.
That's what we said about Halloween a few months ago. So we'll see. But we've also discussed the idea of just having like something very small for now, and then doing like a reception on the other side of quarantine. But right now we're mostly just kind of focusing on the house buying thing.
I'm sorry, but I just thought of everything you're saying is on the other side of the quarantine. Like, you keep saying that out loud, and it's making me sing "Somewhere Over the Rainbow," but over the quarantine.
It could be a banger.
Somewhere over the quarantine.
Over the COVID. But yeah, so we'll see what happens there. Like I said, we're focusing on the house buying right now. We can get a nice more space for us, and then that's more of a priority than getting married, I think, right now. So
okay, yeah, I mean, the wedding and the ceremony and the title is all ceremonial. It's
yeah,
all
yeah, it's all for
very
show.
surface and for show. I mean, you know in your heart what you are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So a lot of people will forego that.
But
Common law.
I'm also a wrestler, so it's all it's all about the gimmick. You gotta
Right.
overindulge that gimmick, but
You got to have the fanny pack and the Halliburton briefcase, the Zubas.
the Zubas. Never got a pair of those. I guess I wasn't a real wrestler.
It's never too late. And if you start wearing them and you're done wrestling, people are like, "Oh, he wears those because he used to be a wrestler." Like that. It's just
like
it's an easy little cop. Like people go, "Oh, whatever. Okay, sure, yeah, that's what you are. So wear that, sure." But it would make sense. What are you doing? What are you doing for like health and fitness these days?
Well, I've kind of fallen into a slump of cheat day turned into like a cheat month, but mostly just what I'll do is low carb Monday through Friday, and then low calorie on the weekends. I was doing keto for a while, like strict keto and intermittent fasting, and I got a lot of like really good results. But I also like was not thrilled. You know what I mean? You have to kind of indulge yourself every once in a while, so it gets harder and harder to do that. And then if you go strict keto for so long, and then you have that little taste of something sweet or whatever, it's very easy to just fall into overindulging, which is where I'm at now. But yeah, so I'm gonna get back on track to that. I haven't been going to the gym. I was going to Planet Fitness for a while, and then so Planet Fitness had this like weird rule where you had to wear a mask into the gym, but once you started working out, you didn't have to wear it, and then you had to wear it again on the way out, which was weird.
That is weird. Yeah.
But like I was like, all right, whatever. And then Planet Fitness company wide is like you have to wear a mask the entire time, and I'm like, I get it, 100% agree with it, but I don't want to do that. So I'm just not gonna go to the gym. But I also didn't have like good fitting masks at the time, so I'm gonna look into getting better masks and get a better gym. And
you wear your Joe Kerr masks?
yeah,
Can you wear those to the gym?
There's a little hole in the mouth, so probably not.
You'd be like, "Oh, I have another mask on underneath this," and then be lying.
Nah, I'm all set on that. But yeah, but Danielle and I have been talking about switching gyms and trying to get back at it.
That's great, man. I went one time to one of the big gyms, like a retro, and everybody was in masks the whole time, and I had to keep my mask on the whole time, and I was like, this kind of sucks. This kind of sucks.
Yeah.
And my gym is just like some hole in the wall gym that like meatheads opened in the 80s and then no one ever goes to. So they just got all this like old equipment from the 80s that's all like beat up, but it works perfect. And like no one's ever there, so I don't really wear my mask until like it'll be like when I'm walking in, like when I go to the locker room and I just go and I like take it's like usually a bandana, I'll take it off, and if people are near me, I put it back up. But for the most part, I don't have it up.
Yeah. But yeah, that's where I'm at now physically. I've gained. So once quarantine started is when I started like dieting and going to the gym and stuff. I lost like 25 pounds.
Yeah,
looking really good, but I've gained a few back, so I'm trying to get back to my goal. And then that was another thing on me is just like I don't want to wrestle until like I look good, because towards the end of my tenure in wrestling, I was just like, I look like shit. So I'm gonna leave. I don't want to continue to be this version of myself and continue to like take my shirt off in public and kind of be I guess, I don't know, not a good version of myself.
I mean, you can find a way to own anything.
Oh yeah. I understand that.
Uh, I mean, I don't necessarily think that like if you were like out of shape, that it was really that bad. Like you never, like you weren't Mark Master or anything. but,
But no, I
but
mean,
but like
it.
maybe we all do it. We all do this thing
Yeah.
of comparing ourselves to other people.
Yeah.
So when you're in locker rooms and there's other guys who are like really jacked or whatever, and you're like, oh, okay, well that guy definitely looks better than me. I feel like crap about myself. Guilty of it still. I still feel that
Right.
way. And it's never gonna go away. I'm always gonna feel that way.
Yeah.
But I gotta own what I got and
Yeah.
make the best of it.
Well, it was also like physically harder to wrestle when I was
Oh,
like
okay.
at the end. You know what I mean? Because so I would for like the last 6 months of me wrestling, because the last year of wrestling was kind of a bittersweet because I knew I was leaving like a year ahead of time, and like so I stopped caring as much, which made it good like mentally. It's just like I don't have to worry about shitty promoters or
Like it was like a
whatever. I'm just here.
senioritis.
Yeah, I'm just here to wrestle, and which was made it more fun for me. But
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the time, hand in hand, I also like stopped caring about a lot of things, like the good things I should be caring about, like my physical fitness and stuff like that. So about 6 months from the end, like my lower back started to hurt a lot every time I would wrestle, and like I would complain. I would say, Danielle, my back's really killing me. And she's like, well, you wrestle, like it's your back's supposed to. I was like, no, not my lower back. Like I know I don't bump on my lower back. I'm not the greatest wrestler in the world, but if there's one thing I'm good at, is not bumping on my lower back.
I
My
don't know.
back's just
I don't
killing
know.
me.
Like, is it possible to bump on your lower back? Who does
I mean,
that?
you can bump awkwardly, but like,
Yeah, it's
yeah,
tough. Right,
I
right,
know where I'm bumping, and I know
right,
I shouldn't be
right.
feeling like this. And then um, at one point, like in the beginning of like in March, I had to fix a part on my car, and I luckily have like an Ace Hardware that I needed a tool at, pretty much across the street from my apartment complex. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do something healthy. I'm gonna like walk over there on my lunch break and get this tool and on my way back. And then not even a quarter of the way there, after just walking, my back, that same spot when I would wrestle, like was killing me. Like my getting the sharp pain in my back to where I can barely walk. So I guess my body wasn't used to carrying around as much weight as I was putting on it,
Mm-hmm.
and I was suffering from it. But
Mm-hmm.
like after I lost the weight, I could jog, I could work out, I was doing fine. So I definitely want to be in like a decent amount of ring shape
I,
before I.
I think we can get you on some stuff. I don't mean like steroids or anything, but I'm saying like we can
Right.
get you onto like bodybuilding exercises. Like that would, you have like a good frame for that. So if you were to just like do like bench, deadlifts, like military press, like
Well,
squats.
when I was going to the gym, I did have like a good routine. Like Monday, I would have a set routine. I'm going to do this. Tuesday, like
Mm-hmm.
5 days a week, I have my routine, and then I do some other stuff like mix it up, just so I'm not getting stagnant. And
Right.
it was working out well for me. I just need to get back in the habit of doing it.
Mm-hmm. I think you need to be more douchey. I think you need douchiness. You need Zubas. You need Zubas. Bring them to the gym. You need like one of the shirts that's cut so thin that it's just straps and it's like straight down, like you're like boobs hanging out the sides.
Just
You,
carrying a big gallon of water
protein
everywhere I go.
shaker, protein
Yeah,
shaker, and a gallon of water. Uh,
always double fisting it.
Right, and then you'd be like, "What? What's that? Oh, you weren't talking about gains. I couldn't understand it if you weren't talking about gains. I don't." You
Yeah,
know, like Mace says in that song when he says, I don't understand the language of people of short money. You say that.
Yeah, I don't understand what you ain't talking about these gains, brother.
You ain't talking about gains. I ain't hearing you.
Well, that's the old wrestler. If you ain't talking about my envelope, I don't know. I don't know what you're saying.
It has nothing to do with the price of milk.
But yeah, so I've been trying to like figure out ways to maybe like reinvent myself if I come back, just to not doing the same stuff I was doing. Because that's kind of the a lot of the fun about it that I missed was just like the creativity. Like I always designed my own gear and like t-shirts and stuff. And I missed doing that. So I've designed a few things, and
I still have the Joe Kerr shirt. I loved it.
I see you wearing it sometimes. It always makes me really happy.
Yeah, I dig it, dude. I think you did a great job on that shirt. It's a cool shirt.
Thank you. I mean, it was very petty of me to design that, but
I'm right. Who cares?
Yeah.
I mean, at this point, that shit doesn't matter at all. Like,
oh yeah, for sure.
Like that. I was just having this conversation with Gotti yesterday, and I was talking about like loyalty among thieves. You know what I mean? It's like Carney, and I made sure to make sure that I was exclusive for the one promotion that I worked for in Delaware for the most part, because I didn't want any fan to go, well, I don't have to go to that show because I'll see Corey at this show. I don't. If you're gonna see me, you're gonna come to the show that I'm only wrestling at that show.
Right.
So that was the way I looked at it, because it was only because it was Delaware, because it's the same fans going from each show to every other, like the same.
Delaware's only like 90 miles long, so there's not you can't spread them out too much before they're just but yeah, I mean that same promotion I was loyal to for a while, and that didn't work out for me. So, and that's part of the another, like, I know we're talking a lot about this. Another reason I was just like, I'm done doing this. Is just like they fucked me over, and I was just so hurt. I was I cut it short.
Here's the other fun thing to think about when you're doing that. Very much consider the source. Very much consider the source. Like, these aren't people who are doing better than you in life.
That's definitely.
So consider that.
But that was also part of my like angst, and like, so I retired in December. I was gonna hold off till May-ish, and then something happened with this promotion. I was just like, I'm done. Like, these people, who is this person to criticize the things he's criticizing about me? Don't get me wrong, he wasn't even entirely wrong,
right?
But it's who are you to say?
Right. What dues have you paid? Where were you trained? Okay. Okay, prove me wrong. Go ahead and tell me what dues you've paid. Tell me who trained you.
Correct.
Okay.
But like, so like we were talking about, I had gained weight towards the end. I wasn't in the shape I was in. If Corey Castle pulls me to the side and says, hey man, you might want to consider getting in a little bit better shape, I'll take that advice. 100%. You're 100% right, and you have every right to tell me that.
You put the suck in liposuction.
This schlub who's like, just bought his way into the business and tells me I'm not in the shape that I was in when he made me a champion. Okay. All right. Well, I guess I won't be in good shape for you at all, or in any shape for you.
Right. So you would rebel against that because of the source, instead of just considering this source and then going, well, like, all right, I'm gonna get in better shape for me. I'm gonna level up because I want to level up.
At the time, at the time this had happened, I was in the process. Like I was literally like, all right, I've let myself go too much. Let me get into some decent, like, let me get better. And as I'm doing this guy's like, you know, we need you to be in better shape to work in this fire hall that the roof barely hangs over the turnbuckles and draws 25 people.
Did I ever tell you about my bit that I was going to do that anyway bit?
No.
I would say I mean it's a bit that I've used as like a closer when I say I don't mind doing things around the house. Like I don't mind like taking out the garbage or, you know, run the vacuum, but like I don't like being asked to do those things or told to do those things. Like I was living with an ex-girlfriend, and sometimes we let the dishes like pile up. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do those dishes as soon as I get in from work without her asking me, and she's going to be super pleased. And I got in right after I got out of work, ran right to the sink, and there was the dishes were still there, but next to them was a note that was like, babe, the dishes are out of control. Handle it. And I was like, oh, man, I was going to do that anyway. Now it looks like I'm only doing it because you told me to do it. And I hate that. So I took the note and I flipped it over. And on the other side, I wrote, honey, could you continue to be a miserable, unsupportive, soul-sucking bitch who's ruining my life? And she was like, oh, man, I was going to do that anyway. Now it looks like I'm only doing it because you told me to.
You asked me to, yeah. It's good shit.
But it goes like that with everything. And I was trying to do it. I was trying to tag that with later on, that girl was a drug addict, right? So later on, that girl got clean and sober. And like part of whatever the 7th step of AA was like, you got to make amends. And she like called me and she was like, I just want to apologize for anything that was going on, blah, blah, blah. Do you forgive me? And I was like, yeah, it's been a long time. I don't ever really think about it. I don't care. She's like, okay, so just tell me you forgive me. I was like, okay, why? She's like, well, it's part of the 7th step. I have to make amends. I have to get forgiveness. I'm like, so you're not doing it because you're going to do it anyway. You're doing it because this thing's telling you to.
Part of the step, yeah.
But I could. It's too clunky. I could have never made it a thing. But it's a funny premise.
Yeah, I mean for sure.
But yeah, man, I want to flip it around, man. Pretend like this is a Radcast, man. Just go ahead and ask me whatever you want. Say whatever.
So no one's listening to it.
Yeah, no, there's absolutely going to be no one listening to it. That goes across both platforms. It's not just your podcast that nobody listens to.
Well, that's another thing. Like at one point I was like, let me start the Radcast back up. Let me do a podcast, and then I had like other ideas for podcasts or ways to like bring the Radcast back and like just reformat it. Then I was like, well, everyone is at home with nothing to do. Everyone is starting a podcast now. Let me not add to that like surplus of people who are podcasting for no reason.
Let me hit you with this real quick. Everyone else isn't you. Nobody else has your thoughts and opinions on things. Nobody else has lived through the things that you've lived through. Nobody has your perspective. Nobody has your voice. Absolutely don't act like it's not going to be any more or less valuable than anybody else's thing.
Yeah.
Like, give that to yourself, dude. You earn your voice. Like, don't compare yourself to other people at all. Like, don't compare yourself to other people who have podcasts. I mean, if any of us did that, none of us would ever have a podcast.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have done anything if all I did was compare myself to other people and go, oh, I shouldn't do it because so many other people who are better than me are doing it. Because it took me doing it to get better at it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So for sure, you've had some life experience. And you've got a perspective that not a lot of other people have. Most people don't have it. Nobody knows what it's like to be you. Nobody knows what the movie of Robbie Radke's life is. You know what I mean? No one else sees the movie that you've seen through your eyes your whole life.
Right. Yeah.
So
maybe I will do that. I'll start my Monday Nitro rewatch podcast.
Dude, you watched all of it, right? You watched like from when Scott Hall came back?
Yep.
Until
when Scott Hall came back till the very last one, and then I was kind of lost. What's that?
Was that the 83 weeks?
It was longer than 83 weeks because the 83 weeks kind of stopped in like 99, 98, 99. So I watched even past that through the Russo era, and it was rough stuff. So I watched the whole thing, and then it ended, and I was like, I don't know what to do now. It was like I got out of an abusive relationship.
Well,
because I was like, I know this was horrible and hard to go through and painful at times, but there was some good moments. At least it kept me like consistent. I had something going.
I know Chuck Payne went through like all the Raws. Like we were talking about that. He was like, oh, I watched all the Raws from this. Like there's so much to watch. Like there's so much content that you could you could do podcasts that review like the bad pay-per-views. You know what I mean? If you already watched those Nitros, maybe you can rewatch those Nitros that are building towards a pay-per-view and do a review of those Nitros and the pay-per-view.
Yeah. Could do that.
Or something,
I mean, someone's got to listen to me rant about it. That's not my fiance who has no idea what I'm talking about.
Right.
She comes home from work. I'm like, you have no idea what they fucking did on Nitro. Like, this is you're not gonna believe it. And she doesn't believe it, but she also like not necessarily interested.
Oh.
There was the one point where she would come in while I was watching and like get interested, and she was very interested in the David Flair, Stacy Keibler pregnancy angle, and she's just like, I just want to know who the father is. I just want to know. So every time I would watch it, and I would hold off some episodes because I'm like, I feel like they're gonna reveal it on this one, and I would wait for her to watch it with her, and they would just never reveal it. It was never, they just dropped it completely, like it never happened, and she was not thrilled that she watched so much Nitro.
It's weird to have a watching partner in things.
Yeah.
When it comes to this lockdown quarantine, it's like my girlfriend was like, "Oh, have you seen Haunting on Hill House?" Right? Did you see that show?
I haven't. No.
She was like, "You got to watch Haunting on Hill House." So I was at her house for like a week, and we watched like the first 7 episodes together. And I came home and she wasn't with me, and I finished watching the season. And I was like, all right, I'm in trouble for it. I'm hardcore in trouble for it. Like, you said, I gotta watch it. Just because you had already seen it. Like, you want to watch the last 3 episodes on your own? Go ahead. I'm not stopping you. But I guess
we got the same thing over here sometimes.
Yeah.
So I guess her Nitro, like that's the like the yin and the yang of me, like sometimes watching like reality TV with her. Like currently she's watching 90 Day Fiance, and at first like I just pop in and out and I'll watch it with her when I'm in, but I'm not like, hey, don't watch this without me.
Right.
Please watch as much as you can without me.
Yeah.
And then when we're spending time together, if it makes you happy, we'll watch it. But then we watch and have serious opinions on what's going on.
We watched like The Bachelor and RuPaul's Drag Race and all that stuff.
All of RuPaul's Drag Race.
All that. And I was just like,
she does this thing. She'll watch the entirety of a show. And I'm like, all right, cool. We're going to watch something new. And then she'll just start it over. So I've seen certain seasons of RuPaul's Drag Race twice and have serious opinions on drag queens. I don't think I know what drag entails even after watching all of it, because I'm not sure what the competition even really
is. Did you
is.
say dragon tails? Like fire-breathing dragons with the tails?
See, I would say I would watch that. I would rather watch that, but I'm not a big like fantasy medieval times guy.
Dragon race, and it's just like Pokemon characters.
It could be like a sketch.
But yeah, man, is there stuff that like that you wanted to ask me about at all?
Just
I'm here for it.
Just want to know how you do. Like, what have you been yourself occupied without the world resuming?
I live directly across the street from my mom.
Mm-hmm.
So my brother lives over there. My sister lives over there. I go over there and hang out with them, like as often as I can. When sometimes Carly's here for the week, so we hang out. Did you see Bruce?
Bruce.
We made this.
Oh yeah. Your like short film.
Yeah.
Really good. I like that.
Thanks, man. So, I'm just trying to push that out there as much, and I've trying to, like now that I'm back to kind of working every day, it's like, all right. So I'm not doing as many podcasts, but I got tons of podcasts already in the can that are scheduled to come out. So I mean, I can kind of breathe off of it for a minute, but it's like that doesn't mean it's anything that I care less about, because I really out and I still enjoy sitting down and recording them. And like we still do Wrestle Rock Weekly,
right?
Like we're doing the watch alongs, like we do that for pay-per-views. Like we're doing it tomorrow for Hell in a Cell, and Rick's done a couple without me.
Yeah. Well, I think I've done the Wrestle Rock podcast, I think 3 times, and neither time you were there.
Yeah, you've done this podcast like 3 times now, right?
This is my second.
Okay. Yeah. But, that's like, you were like, while I was still in the studio, which is like,
yeah,
that's like 3 years ago. So this is welcome back. Welcome back to
Glad to be here.
Corey Gassel. But
yeah, glad to be here, and by here I mean the balcony of my apartment. But yeah, it's good to catch up, and I really like doing the podcast the first time too. Like it's a lot of fun.
Well, I think a lot has changed from it, and I hope so. I hope it's funny. Like I had this one comedian on, and he was like, I had recorded a podcast with him 2 years previous. And I was like, and I was talking to him about how I was trying to listen to that episode, and I had to turn it off because I was like too embarrassed. He said, "You should be embarrassed. You should be embarrassed. You should have gotten better. And if you didn't get better, you should be more embarrassed."
Right. Yeah, makes sense.
So I wouldn't listen back to that old episode that we did, and not kind of, because I think back then I was like, I wanted to make sure that I was hitting this like checklist in my head of like, oh, I'm going to talk about what your religion is, and talk about what your parents were like, talk about if you had siblings, and talk about church, and talk about like, right. And it always be like, whoa, let's talk about death. Let's talk about mushroom. Let's talk about like it, and make sure I get all that stuff into each episode to see if like people had opinions of those things. I mean, everybody does at some point have one of the, like if that comes up in the conversation, cool. But I'm not going to force it as much as I think I was forcing that all back then.
Yeah, it makes sense. But, I mean, that part of the evolving process of it, you know what I mean? I probably wouldn't like to listen to myself back on that episode. I'm sure I was a dork and in a weird headspace, but like I'm probably in a weird headspace now. And then, 3 years from now, do another one. Just
yeah,
like,
we'll totally do another one in 3 years. We'll make this
hopefully sooner than that.
Every 3. Oh yeah, I'm sure sooner than that. But But we'll do, I love doing these follow-up ones. Like I love doing like having return guests, and I think almost everybody is like somebody rarely does somebody not come back.
Right.
Like I
Yeah, man. Like I'd like to think I've evolved since then. It was probably like when you start doing the podcast.
2017 was when
I was like, so it was like, well, like probably 2 years ago, because I was like episode 28 or something like that.
Okay.
Because it came up on my memories a few weeks ago.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'd like to think I'm a much more evolved person in the last 2 years. A lot of great stuff has happened and make me. I think I'm overall happier. I think I have a better outlook on life.
Joy.
Yeah, like we were talking about work before we recorded, and just like I have a good job that I really love my job, and you know I'm engaged. Not much. I can't complain too much. If you had asked me 2 years ago when I was working at Amazon in a warehouse,
I think you
know
there was a level of like frustration and bitterness that I could feel in you. Not necessarily, I don't know if you were like, I'm mad, I hate everything, but like you definitely were like feeling persecuted against, and I could feel that somehow in your presence. But I don't feel that at all anymore. So,
well, that's
I mean,
good.
hopefully that's a good sign of evolving.
Yeah, I mean, I don't feel persecuted against at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to take care of myself better now.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm more concerned with things that are involved with my well-being instead of just like, I think back then my whole outlook was like, life is what happens to you. Like these are just the things that happen to me, and I'm stuck here, and it's my onus to just deal with it, and whatever the case may be.
You may have heard me say this a million times, and anybody who listens to the show might have heard me say this a million times, but this needs to be said a million times, probably a billion more. In life, we get used to reacting to what the world has done to us.
Mm-hmm.
And not enough people like act in a deliberate creativity, like being a deliberate creator in their existence. So enough people, a lot of people just go, well, this is what happened to me. This is what happened. This is what happened. And I'm reacting to it.
Right.
Instead of reacting, act.
Right.
Instead of like being a victim to all the misfortunes that you've had, like just know like you did take a part in some of the misfortunes that you've had through getting stuck inside of past misfortunes. So get accountable to that and move forward in a positive direction for you and on purpose, for the purpose of being better.
Yeah, for sure.
We're not all, we're not all promised tomorrow. We're not all going to be here for a long time.
Yeah.
Sorry, if you can you hear that somebody's mowing the lawn outside?
No, I can't hear it.
Every time I go to record,
it's like they got your recording schedule.
Yeah, I don't even know what it is. But, I don't even know what I'm gonna record. But I mean, it's Saturday afternoon, so that's usually when they be out there trying to mow all the lawns. I should have figured it out. I gotta soundproof my house.
I mean, that's probably doable.
Yeah.
But yeah, life's good. I'm a better person than I was 2 years ago, I guess.
Yeah. What has like been the most impactful thing that like lasted with you, like as far as like what you've watched or consumed in this time, in this last I'm going to call it 2020, the year of the shutdown. So what have you watched in 2020 that still like stays with you? That was good.
Man. 2020. I don't. It's tough to say. So because I've been working at home, I've just kept the TV on and just like I've blown through so many like TV shows and stuff that some of it I don't even remember because it's just on while I'm working. But I don't know. Have you seen The Boys?
Yeah. I think I fell asleep during the very last episode, so I don't know where it ends. I don't know what happens, but I just know I only have to watch the last episode.
Maybe it was like a week and a half ago, or like a week after it like aired the season finale. I was just like randomly got sad about what happened. I was like, yeah, that did happen, didn't it? That was a bummer that I'm now remembering a week later. Yeah. Other than that, it's just weird Nitro shit. Like Judy Bagwell on a forklift. Yeah.
What you've been putting out your
actually? Go ahead.
I've been meaning to ask you about this. You've been putting out like stuff with the wrestling figures.
Mm-hmm.
How do you get them like stuck in the air like that?
Oh, so like it's like the action figure photography and like the stop motion and stuff.
Yeah,
I'll use like clear sewing thread, and then I just edit it out in Photoshop.
Okay.
Yeah, which is a very it's a pain in the ass process. But I did recently. I was looking into like tips and stuff to get better at figure photography and toy photography, and one of the main tips was like just make sure you take a picture every day, no matter what. So I've been trying to do that. I missed yesterday, but I fell asleep, so I'll do 2 today. But yeah, I just get to create.
I forgot to take my vitamins yesterday.
Maybe we all forget.
Oh man, am I gonna take double dose of vitamins today? Am I gonna have a problem?
Other than the boys and stuff like that, the Roman Reigns Jey Uso match from the last pay-per-view has really been in my head like every day since it happened. It's just like the kind of storytelling that I love in wrestling and don't get it enough.
Mm-hmm.
So that's been really impactful, and it's just pure like there's no silly gimmicks. I guess there will be tomorrow, but there's no like I don't know. I've watched so much dumb shit in wrestling that it's so good to just see something that's so simple and just works so well and is just super like it gives you goosebumps,
Right.
Like, and that's something I've been trying to like really like lean into is being a fan of wrestling. Because I think we talked about this on the last time I was on the podcast. I used to have like a Hardy Boys tattoo.
Yeah.
And then some old vet told me to like, you look like a mark or whatever. So I got it covered up. And that's something like I really regret is just like letting myself like shy away from being a fan of wrestling. And it's probably led to my bitterness and stuff like that. But one of the many reasons led to my bitterness. But like lately I've just been like really enjoying, and it's not that I ever couldn't, but once I quote unquote retired, I was like, I can be a fan like again. Like I can let my fan flag fly and just really find out what I loved about wrestling before I started doing it. And it's made me enjoy things a little bit more for sure.
It's a weird thing. Like we were kind of shamed for in my generation. I'm saying like we were kind of shamed for like being fans or being marks of the business when we were in it. Like we couldn't wear like a Triple H shirt to training.
Right.
Like that was not a thing that was ever acceptable. Like we would have just got made fun of or something. It was not okay. And,
right. Yeah.
And and I used to always think of it and be like, when someone joins a band, they don't automatically stop liking other
Stop
bands.
list. Yeah.
It's like wrestling is so bizarre that way. At that time, it's not even like that anymore. It's a little more open now. It's a little more like, okay, yeah, but you like
There's
what you.
there's still some like, sectors of it that just refuse to like die or whatever. But
Mhm.
yeah, overall it's gotten better. I feel
Right.
like it got better after I got this fucking tattoo covered up. But yeah, it's it's definitely more
I think you
less
were
around.
tattoo. Honestly, tattoos in general are sensitive. You know what I mean? Like that's something you decided to put on you as like a billboard for what you like. And if someone goes,
Yeah,
"Hey, I don't like that you have that on you. It represents
right.
this or that." Then you
Or
get you
someone
got
else might not like that you have that, and it might
right. So
not get you a
you
booking
got
or
you
whatever.
got sensitive and you covered it up.
Yep.
Um, you probably didn't have to.
Oh, I did. Like I said, I definitely didn't have to, and I kind of
What
wish.
did you cover it with?
Just like an axe, like it's just a basic axe instead of the Hardy Boys logo.
Okay. Yeah.
Because I asked my tattoo guys like, what would you cover this up with? And I'm also like a kind of guy like I feel like my tattoo artist, whoever it may be at the time, like it's their art too. So I just kind of let them like, hey man, whatever you want to do with this, have some
Right.
fun or whatever.
Right. Right. Right.
'Cause I don't hold most for the most part I don't hold tattoos of like high value. Like a lot of people like, oh, it has to mean something to me and it's so important to me. Like I have a Arby's tattoo. It's just a beef and cheddar with a dagger through it
Yeah,
that
to
says
me.
we have the meat. Yeah, I don't take them that seriously, but at the end of the day, like I still got one covered up because someone said, "Hey, you might not get booked or whatever," and that guy turned out to be a fucking asshole anyway. So yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
Is it a Delaware guy?
Maryland guy. Um, he,
I'm
yeah.
I'm I'm gonna make 20 questions out of this. Uh, White
Okay.
guy,
Yes.
um, my age.
I don't know how old he is. He could be 60 or 12. So
Okay. Well, uh, TV credits.
yes.
Um, Jerry Mercury.
No.
Okay. Well, that guy's an asshole too. But
Oh yeah, I know.
he would have probably. I could imagine him right away going like, I wouldn't. Uh,
Way less prestigious of a like a name than that.
Um, Jimmy Dream.
There you go.
I nailed it.
Yep.
Once you said not prestigious, I was like, yep, I know exactly what you're talking
Yeah.
about.
TV credits, but not prestigious. Um, yeah. I mean, and it's such a shitty thing. That whole situation is like I was saying, it's just like toxic behavior that you kind of have to put up with,
Mm-hmm.
especially when you're young in the business. I think it was in like my first year, and I went on a road trip with him and Raven,
Mm-hmm.
and that's when he told me that about the tattoo. And then I went on another road trip with just him, and like that, he said so much like weird, creepy shit that I was just like,
You know, it would be funny, Rob, if like, eh, if like you took a Sharpie and you just like drew on it before every match, like that. If you were on a show with him, like you just sit there
yeah,
drawing on it, and then like,
like I
uh,
put Jimmy Dream all over it. He'd love it. Um, but yeah, like I went on a road trip, like the second one I went with, second or third. He was talking about this promoter's niece who was like probably 6, going on and on and on and on about how hot she is and blah blah blah. And I was just like the most uncomfortable I've ever been. But it's also like you're new in wrestling, and this guy's been places, and you gotta fucking
go along to get along.
Yeah. And in retrospect, like it's one like I was talking about, like once you get out of wrestling and look back on things, you're just like, fuck, I really wish I'd have just pulled over and kicked him out of my fucking car or whatever. But that's that shit. That's that toxic part of that environment.
Finding things in your past that you're like, I can't believe I got through that. I can't believe that happened to me. Like, it's tough to like look back on it as an adult and like I don't know if I want to really get too much into it, but there was the neighborhood I live in now. I lived here when I was a kid. Outside of this window, there's a window right there. Outside of that window, there was an apartment complex. There's an apartment complex right outside this window. In the apartment that's right there in that apartment complex, that girl that lived there, she was like kind of living at our house. She was friends with like my brother and sister, and she was like a heroin user, and she asked me to help her shoot heroin into her arm when I was like 15. And I didn't. She was like, I'm sick without this. I need help.
Right.
So I helped her find a vein. You know what I mean? And I had to deal with that yesterday because like I had to go like, she was like hitting me up all day yesterday. All day. Talking to me about how proud she is of who I am and things like that. So I'm like, I forgive you for that. But that's the thing that traumatized me when I was a boy so much that I forgot about it for so long.
Yeah.
And then when I finally remembered it, I was like, man, that damaged me.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know, because I know I said something to her about being on the podcast a couple of years ago. I wouldn't want to do that. I don't know if I would want to do that because I might say some stuff that might damage you so much that you hurt yourself. And I don't want that. I absolutely don't want that. Like you've taken the two-way train. You know what I mean? Like I don't want you to jump back on it.
Right.
But yeah. So mix that with the fact that like she robbed my family and we like lost our home and like I had a lot of resentment on the I actually walked around for a big chunk of my life saying drug addicts have ruined my life multiple times. And I now say nothing's ruined my life. Nothing's ever ruined my life because my life continues on.
Right.
Nothing ruins my life until it ends my life.
Yeah.
And I'd rather like go, oh, all right, well, I learned stuff from those times where I've been like down or ruined by like my life's plan maybe got ruined a couple times, but I don't know if my life's plan was ever that good in the first place. It wasn't a sparkly plan. Wasn't a very shiny, sparkly plan, but you know, you walk around with your expectations and this is another bit that I've been doing. When I was talking to you about comparing yourself to other people, I've been saying on stage about like, can we not do that to ourselves? Like it's not good. Don't compare yourself to other people. And I said, the way I look at it, you know, birds.
Mm-hmm.
Birds, they still get hit by cars. They got the whole sky. Not everybody's got it all figured out.
Right.
Stop comparing yourself to other people. We're gonna get things wrong. We're gonna get things right, but none of those things are going. No matter how many things we get right, we're not going to all of a sudden go, everything's good forever. I don't have to ever work on myself. Right. I don't ever have to cope with, you know, the success. I don't have to there's all a coping. There's all a work. There's all a process inside of the the successes and the damage, and
Right.
and the failures. Like,
Yeah.
tons of it. So you're never all set. You're never all set.
Oh yeah, absolutely not.
Like, all you can do is continue to evolve. All you can do is continue to get better. Self-help, not self-fix. There's no magic wand.
Right.
So
that's for sure. Yeah.
Message. Audio time travel. The people that you care the most about. Maybe your kids one day. Maybe your kids one day will stumble across this recording and want to know what 2020 Robbie Radke was. 2020 Rob Falkheimer. I want to know what he's like. So this is a little snapshot into what's gotten you here and what message you have directly to that person. This is what I call this audio time travel.
Gotcha. Okay. I would say 2020 Rob Falkenheimer is the best version of Rob Falkenheimer so far. 2020 Rob Falkenheimer is improving himself day after day. But the thing that got me here to this point where I am improving is failing a lot and kind of, and failing a lot, failing often, failing hard, understanding that I'm going to fail again at some point, but to not allow failure to define what happens going forward. Because, I think our system, like, of well-being or in our society, I hate using the word society, but it's been so overused by joker types. But, like, our society is just like, if you, I've spent so long being told, if you don't do well in school, this is it. Like, you're a failure. And I didn't do well in school. So I spent so long being like, well, fuck, if I'd only done well in school, I'd be better off now, instead of doing better from that point forward. And that's something I'm still trying to work on. I'm still trying to fix things from back then to make me a better person than I am now and was then. Yeah.
I noticed a thing about you, Rob.
What's that?
You love to rebel. You love to be a rebel. Like, you, not a rockin' one. But you love to be a rebel. What I had in my mind. I better warn Danielle that you're a real rebel. No, but like you're like, oh, don't tell me, fuck you, all this. No, don't tell me, fuck you, all this. And it's a lot of reactionary, very reactionary, and it's never been in your benefit.
Right.
It hasn't benefited you. If you think the benefit to that is that it's protected you in some way from a worse pain, maybe your ego has gotten you to where you are in a lot of ways. It has protected you from a lot more hurt than you've experienced. But those rebellious reactions, reactionary ways, that can be just as toxic as flirting with a 16-year-old promoter's niece.
Right.
So you got to weigh it out a little bit more. You got to weigh a couple of these decisions out a little more. You definitely have to consider every source. When someone tells you something, think about who said it. Think about maybe what they're going through. Think about empathy.
Yeah.
Think about how hard it must be to be this person. Like, take yourself out of you for a minute if you can at any time, because I get that way too, man. I recently posted about how someone mentioned to me about how I was wearing like a Nike hoodie with Adidas pants. And they were like, Nike hoodie with Adidas pants. And I automatically went to the damaged poor kid. I was like, oh, been poor my whole life. Grew up on welfare. And like, I never afforded name brand shit. It's never been a thing. Like, I went into all this justification shit instead of just going, if this stuff is important to you, I feel bad for you. Like, you got some work to do on you. Instead, I got real hurt. I got my feelings real hurt. Like, and it took me right back to like getting made fun of for like having food stamps in my wallet. Remember food stamps? They like give you a book of coupons.
Yeah.
Like, kids would make fun of me for that when I was a kid. Like, well, I had to stop at the grocery store on my way home from school. It's like we all got our damage and we have our stuff we try to rebel against, but all of us. So sure, I'm speaking for everyone here. Hey, everybody who's listening, I'm speaking for you right here. We all do too much reactionary behavior.
Right.
And it's not always going to benefit us. So that might be part of that knowing I'm going to fuck up again.
Right.
And give yourself the grace and the unconditional love to go, well, that too. I love that too. I love that about me. That I still love me. Like I got to love that too.
Yeah.
So I think if you wait another 3 years to do my podcast, and we're talking about this again, I'd want to hear that part of you has relaxed a little bit.
Yeah.
Because you don't owe anybody anything.
Right.
What you do owe is yourself a little bit more. Because the behavior in rebelling against someone else is hurting you. Like when you set out with revenge in your heart, you dig 2 graves.
Yeah.
So just have grace with yourself, man. You're awesome, man. You're awesome. And I don't think enough people tell you that.
Well, thank you.
You maybe need to know that for yourself, and maybe you need to hear it from somebody who's a respected vet in the business. And I'm just less about the respect and less about the business, and more about as a person. You're a good dude.
Thank you.
And you deserve to be happy. And don't cut your nose off to spite your face, because it's a good little face and it's a sweet little nose.
So I've been told.
Don't be such a rebel. Don't be such a rebel.
Oh, oof. No, I really appreciate that. It's good. Like, it's good to catch up with you. I can count on you to tell me things like that. You always hear people, and I don't want to relate everything to wrestling, but this specifically applies. You always hear people in wrestling just like, hey, man, if you need anything, reach out and stuff like that. You are one of the people that I actually like believe that when you say it. You know what I mean? It's literally, I think it's you and Louis G. Rich, and that's it.
Man, I love that guy.
I love that guy too. He's one of my favorite people to wrestle, talk to. He's a great guy.
I don't think I've ever had
there's other people.
I haven't had a match with him like one-on-one ever. Like,
it's unfortunate.
Him and his partner, Alan, was it the kid's name? Alan? They were like Charm City something. Oh man, Charm City Saints. Was that what it was?
I think that was before my time.
Okay, yeah. This goes back to like 2007, 2008. So
yeah, before my time.
Way back. We only had tag matches where I tagged with Rick, and that's the only like matches we ever had with each other. But I mean, I never got an opportunity to have any singles matches with the guy. But he was a fun personality in the ring.
Oh, for sure. I mean, like I said, it's you two that I can definitely not that I've ever like needed to, but I know if I needed to, I could reach out to you or him or like Killian McMurphy, but he's also
Who's that?
like one of my some clown I helped break into the biz, brother. But he's also like one of my best friends.
As I've started calling him Jabronly fans.
He is a client. You know, I actually work with him, my shoot job.
Yeah, I know. I'm familiar.
Yeah, he's a good dude. I very proud is a weird word because I feel like sometimes it's certain people, if they say they're proud of me, I'm like, who are you to be proud of me? That's weird.
Right.
But I'm very proud of him, and like him being in the business and doing so well is one of the like saving graces of like I don't need to really do much more in wrestling. Like I helped him and he's doing like amazing. So I mean that's something that's kind of a, not to attach myself to like riding his coattails or whatever, but that's part of like something that I contributed to the wrestling business. Break in.
Yeah, dude. I have. This just made me think of it because you and him were talking at a show. We were like outside backstage before DCW ran at like the little fire hall place or whatever that place was. Before, like when it was like better.
Right.
Like, and like I think I was like main eventing and stuff like that, but I would only wrestle there. Like I wasn't doing anything else.
Right.
And you were talking to him and you were talking about something where it got brought up. You were like, oh, this fucking whatever, this jerk off only works once a month. And you were talking like saying something like that. And I looked at my girlfriend at the time's face and I could see her automatically lose respect for me.
Did I say that?
Yes. But it was not your fault because she wasn't there while I was paying all these dues, working 4 shows a week. Like that's not on you. I'm not saying, but that idea wasn't like, it was like, oh, she just doesn't get it. Like I get who you're talking about. And Killian, of course, knows who you're talking about, but like she doesn't get it. And she's trying to get something that she won't get.
Right.
And I felt like it's like trying to make an outsider understand something they're not going to understand. It's like asking a dog to understand the internet kind of thing. You know, it's tough, right? So, I don't think I ever brought that up to you, but that was something, and I wasn't ever upset with you, but I was upset with her right there that she like heard that the wrong way.
Right. Yeah, I'm a little disappointed in myself for having said that. Whether like I know you're not upset, but like it's just a disappointing thing for me to have said. Because now I'm trying to, if I do come back, I'll probably just be like working once a month and just like.
Well, it's like, oh, I earned being able to do that. I earned being able to do that, but you don't understand that. You don't understand how much I've sacrificed my entire life and birthdays and Christmases and holidays and parties and weddings and funerals and like this is a sacrifice that I've made for so long so that I have the ability to work when I want to work, to show up when I want to show up. But it's tough it's hard to make somebody understand who's not willing to understand. And it has to, it has to be what it is. And it's, it's way in the past now. You know what I mean? That's going to be it's going to be a thing that I know I deal with any partner I try to have.
Right.
Any girlfriend that I try to have or beyond that. Like that girl was 2 girlfriends ago. Like this is, I'm the guy who just has a bunch of girlfriends all the time. Like a relationship lasts for a year, 2 years, and then it's on to the next one. And it's because the failure to want to understand me.
Right.
And I don't really know if I all the way understand me either, so I can't make you get it.
Yeah, I definitely get that. Like, I don't know who the fuck I am. Like,
Right. Right.
good
All I
luck
know
trying to
is that
figure it
I'm
out.
working on it. All I know is that
Right.
I'm working on it.
That's
So
yeah.
be willing to meet me in the middle of working on it.
Yeah.
And if
Yeah.
you're unwilling to meet me on the middle of working on it, that's a YP.
Yeah.
But one more thing, and
Yeah.
then I'll send you off with a hot dog and a handshake. So, hypothetically, get you to do this show. The show is yours now. Evolving with Robbie Radke, Rob Falkenheimer. This has been your pilot episode of your new podcast about bettering yourself in a very Jerry Springer's final thought sort of way. You wrap it up in a nice little bow in like a minute or two. And you know what? I'm going to have to try to expire saying the Jerry Springer thing because enough people are starting to not know who that is anymore.
Oh man, that's unfortunate. I mean, I guess it's not that unfortunate.
No. I mean, that was a trash time in the world.
Yeah. Boy, oh boy, bettering yourself. I think the most important thing about bettering yourself for me has been to not hold on to the not so good parts of yourself, and to not beat yourself up for when you weren't the best version of yourself. Like if you said out back of a wrestling show, some jerk off who only works once a month, to not like beat up yourself for saying something 5 years ago or 3 years ago because you were dumb and didn't understand the other side of it, and just to try and be better and more empathetic to those jerk offs who only work once a month. And I mean, that's it.
If people want to work once a month and they're in the business a year or two, like be better. Go work more. Try to be better. You get better by working more. But if you're a seasoned, like tender, like you've been around for a while.
Yeah. But that's the thing though, is that vet line and that tag is just, there's such a gray area to what that even means anymore. Right. Or has always ever meant to me, because I had to learn at one point there's a difference between a vet and someone who's just been doing it longer. And then I try to wrestle with myself. Like, I don't consider myself a vet most of the time. But I've been referred to as such, and it's always been, I've always felt uncomfortable about it. Like, no, I'm definitely not. Definitely listen to someone better than me. But then there's other times where I'm just like, recently I was at an open ring, and these young guys and guys that didn't really know what they were doing were trying to work on something. And I was just like, I chimed in. I was like, hey, how about instead of doing this, you do this, and here's why. Here's a thought out explanation as to why I'm suggesting the thing you're doing and how it would fix the problem that you're having. Right. And then someone who's not experienced at all was like, oh, that move is lame. We don't want to do that because, and and in my back of my head, I was like, motherfucker, like, I know I'm not a vet, but I mean, I've done some things, and maybe you should at least listen to me without being disrespectful. But I bit my tongue. I was just like, hey man, just throwing out suggestions.
I think so going back into what I was saying was before about the being a mark, the being a mark for the business, like that used to be really frowned upon in my day.
Right.
And I think nowadays it's less frowned upon to do it, but now inside of that, you have the ability to ignore humility. So they always said, be humble, be humble, be humble. That was what we were that was our generation, was humility. Respect for the vets. Now, if the vets weren't TV talent, then they're not vets.
Right.
Like, oh, they're, I get more GIF views than you.
Right. Yeah.
It's a like a reprioritized version of respect and humility.
Yeah.
So I don't walk around talking about how I'm a vet. I'll let my actions do that. I'll let how I speak to people do that. As being a locker room leader, I would rather be an example than be like, everybody listen to me.
Right.
I've been doing this the longest. And I have to quote Matt Bomboy in when he says the doing it longer doesn't mean you are better than me. Like he's like, this isn't prison. It isn't. It is not prison. So when you did say I've done some things, yeah, I mean it's true.
Nothing of note, but I mean,
right.
I've gotten the desired reaction from the crowd based on the things that I've done, and I know a thing or two about psychology. I've
you play with toys, damn it.
Because I've listened to people who knew better than me, so I'm just passing this knowledge along. It's usually, I think I used to tell Killian this. It's just like, look, anyone who like says they're a vet openly, don't listen to them really. Like, listen to them, but like you don't have to do what they say because usually the actual vets don't go around telling you that they're a vet.
Right. I mean, I always say don't really try to advertise yourself as anything that you aren't, or don't advertise yourself as anything that you are. That you even are, because if I walk around and I tell you that I'm funny, I tell you that I'm real smart, then you can prove me wrong on some stuff. You could rebel against my funniness and not laugh on purpose because you were like, oh, you think you're funny? I'll show you. You're not gonna make me crack a smile once. Like I don't want that. I'd rather just be what I am. And like Napoleon Hill says, tell the world what you're gonna do. Show them first.
Right.
So that's like my kind of philosophy on who I am and what I'm doing, because it's definitely a show then tell.
Yeah, for sure.
Not the other way around. Yep. You value me as the best actor / model and not the other way around. To quote Fabio.
Okay. Whatever he says, I guess.
Yeah, that was from Zoolander. I was just being quoting Zoolander. But I want to say, dude, absolutely thrilled that you were able to give me the currency of your attention and your time. Paying me in the currency of your effort is very much appreciated. And anybody who's listened, if you made it through over an hour and a half of this podcast and you listen to the whole thing, I appreciate the currency of your effort. Yeah, totally. Bless you very much. And thank you very much. And I say this all the time. I want to make sure you know it because I know you do. You need something. You need to talk to somebody. You need some judgment-free conversation. You need a friend. I'm here. I'm not hard to get a hold of.
Right.
Always know that it's okay to reach out to me. And this is going for the listeners, if you're listening to the show, if you're watching the YouTube video, let me know you exist. Subscribe. Follow the YouTube channel. Leave comments below. This part seems so like tough to me because I know it's like some people just rattle this part out. Like, subscribe, review.
Right.
Sure, do all of those things if it's worth it to you. If you've made it this far and you maybe caught some lessons, maybe go back and listen to the other 120 or 204 other episodes of this podcast. And hopefully you get some cool nuggets out of it.
I hope so.
And Thanks so much. I hope that you have
me.
a great weekend. Be fun, have safe, and keep it fun.